Welcome to our vidIQ takeover for the Women of YouTube podcast. I am so excited to be joining all of you today as we discuss all things women and YouTube creators. I am so excited to have you guys here to be on this journey. We're actually celebrating and recording the 100th episode of the Women of YouTube podcast today. And I'm so excited to have you here on this super crazy milestone that I'm so proud of. On the live stream today that we're doing on the vidIQ podcast and also the recording for the podcast, I have some awesome guests. Let's bring them up onto the screen. I'm going to be joined today by Natalie from Design to the Nines, Tiffany Day, and Amara Damalo. I'm so excited. They've all have been guests here on the podcast, and we're coming back together to just talk about all things YouTube. And I am so excited to have you here, ladies. Thank you.
I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, we will be giving away a free, more than one. We're going to be giving away some free licenses of the vidIQ platform here. And in order to win, you have to just go leave us a review over on iTunes to enter to win, and then DM me at Mrs. Desiree Rose so that I can send you your free license if you've been selected to win. All you gotta do is look up womenofyoutube.com or go to iTunes and leave that comment. Super easy peasy lemon squeezy for that. And Dan, if you want to put the scroller on the bottom for that, I would be super grateful for that as well. So people know to do that as they come in. Got lots of people here in the chat coming in. Super excited to have Ben, Ina, Paul Peck, the Drywall Tube. I'm super excited you're here, man. You know, Coconut Pete, Shishay Fernandez, with so many fun people here to celebrate this huge milestone. So I think to start this out, I usually ask the question, why YouTube? But today I am going to actually ask the question to our audience. It says, why women of YouTube? Why does this matter? Natalie, take it away.
Why does women of YouTube matter?
Yes.
Well, I think it matters because I think we're in the minority, and I think that it's good to get a female voice out there, and it's a message that I tried to drive home on my channel is that women are powerful and we can use power tools and do all kinds of stuff that that really gives us a voice, and I think that's important.
Awesome. What do you think, Tiffany? Why is women of YouTube important?
Same thing as Natalie. You know, we are the minority. We come into this creative space that is very male dominated, like most industries are male dominated. So I think it's amazing that women are stepping up and, you know, being recognized and, you know, just finding their worth and their value in this world and on this platform.
Awesome. All right, Amara, what do you think?
Women of YouTube, why does this matter to me? Because I think this is a community that should be thought about more in that way. I think that communities are what make up YouTube, and women bringing women up is something that I'm about in life in general. And I think that's something really wonderful we can end up doing through digital platforms like this.
When I had decided to do this podcast, the biggest issue that I kept running into is that I never found myself represented in areas beyond fashion and beauty and fitness and you know, life, like traditional women like roles. And so my desire to create this podcast is around to give voice to women creators who deserve to have a platform to be heard and seen. And we have so many great male educators and creators, but we have just as many women in that space as well that we need to be giving love and attention to. And, you know, there's been so many studies, so much data that we'll go over a little bit today, I think, about why women need representation and why we are underserved on the platform. And I don't think that YouTube has done anything wrong inherently. And I don't think that, and I want to make it clear in the stream, we're not here to man bash. We're not here to YouTube bash. We're not here to blame. We are here to lift up and empower and talk about like what we think the next 2 to 5 years is going to look like for female creators on the platform, especially based on existing data and what this cool, fun audience is going to help, I think, bring to the table. So I'm so excited that we are going to be doing this. So before we dive too far in this, I think it's important for all of us to talk about what we do on YouTube. So we have some context and qualifications to be here. So my name is Desiree Martinez. I am your hostess with the mostest here with the Women of YouTube podcast. I also have a YouTube channel that's called All-in-One Social Media, which is dedicated to helping you grow your business with better social media and content marketing. Natalie, what is your channel about?
So my channel is about DIY and home decor, but on my channel, we use a lot of power tools. And I think it takes some people by surprise because they look at me and they automatically assume that I'm the type of girl that has my husband come in and use the power tools for me. And then I get to go in and do all the fluff, but I get down and dirty with the power tools. I will use my power saws and drills and all of that and show that women can do it too and make our home beautiful, and doing things that are hard and sometimes physically draining. Like not even 15 minutes ago, I was covered in sawdust and sweat from a project that I'm doing, and it's really rewarding. And I think that it makes other women feel that they can do that too. And so that's what I'm all about, is just kind of pushing my viewers beyond their limits and really helping them. My mantra is I end my show every day saying, you are more powerful than you know. And I really believe it, because I think that we all have more capability than we even realize if we are just willing to be brave and get beyond our own preconceived notions.
And freaking tastic. All right, Tiffany, what about you? Tiffany has 2 channels, so she does a lot of work. I don't know how she does it.
I do have 2 channels. So I actually started in 2018 in the motherhood lifestyle niche. I actually was a career mom and lost my job because of the economy crashing and didn't know what to do. Went to be a stay-at-home mom and picked up a camera just for fun and fell in love with the creative process, fell in love with the analytics. I come from a very busy business background. And so once I dived into the business part of it, I was like, oh yeah, this is where I belong. I also, like you mentioned, there wasn't representation for us. And so I found that I was constantly looking up how to grow as a lifestyle blogger, how to grow as a motherhood blogger, because there's niche specific things that we need and it just wasn't there. And so, something I teach my students and stuff is be the missing link in your niche. And so I actually started my second channel, Navigating YouTube, specifically for lifestyle bloggers, to fill that gap that was missing, to help, other women in this space grow their audience, influence, and income on YouTube, learn how to land brand deals, empower that you don't need millions of subscribers to be able to do this. You can make a full-time living, diversifying your income. So I am all about transparency. I've worked on one side where it's like what brands are looking for. And, I've worked on the side of what influencers can offer. And I'm trying to bridge that gap for people. So that's kind of what I do.
So exciting. And I think that you've done such a great job with educating. I think my favorite thing, and we're going to dive into this, I think here soon, is your soapbox that you stand on, that influencers of any size deserve to get paid. And I think that's one of the big things that people are going to take away from this episode today.
Excited.
Yes. All right, Amara. Who are you and what do you do on the YouTube?
I'm Amara. What I'm probably most known for in YouTube spaces is being Amara in Seattle. The joke is that I'm also Amara not in Seattle, because that has involved a whole lot of travel. I spent the first couple years of my YouTube life traveling around the world, meeting creators and finding out what they were doing in different places. And at the same time, being very involved with the Seattle YouTube community. We had a little event called Seattle YouTube Day that we threw, and we continue to do things to build up the community. And that's really what I like to focus on. Community is the central nexus of Amara in Seattle, but I'm also a social media consultant in my other life as Amara Doomla.
Love it. All right. So for those of you that are joining our live streams, I'm seeing a lot of people question the chat. This is the Women of YouTube podcast takeover of the vidIQ YouTube channel. vidIQ is the proud sponsor of the Women of YouTube podcast, where we tell the stories of women YouTube creators to inspire other women to start and keep creating on this platform. We are doing this takeover to celebrate 100 episodes of Women of YouTube podcast, and it's very exciting. In fact, this episode will be live on all podcasting platforms in 2 weeks, and we're just going to little jumpstart it with this live stream recording today. You can enter to win a free boost subscription of the vidIQ podcast by leaving a review over on Apple Podcasts. And you just got to shoot me over a simple Instagram at Mrs. Desiree Rose. You guys can, right here, where you can see where it is here, so that I can get a hold of you to give you your boost subscription. And it has been asked, like, what if I don't have an iTunes account? Well, you can definitely leave a review over on Google Podcasts as well. I am so excited to have you guys. Okay, so let's dive into something I think is very important and near and dear to my heart. Now, an article came out from Clear not too long ago. I'm going to put this in our, hopefully we get this pulled up on the screen. This is about the gender pay gap for influencers in marketing. And it's very interesting to me. So one of the things that I have personally gathered data about is only 11.8% of top trending videos star women. So I had collected all this data by looking at April of 2021, and I looked at the top 25 creators who were trending on the platform, and only 11% of them were women for that entire month. And I thought that was really interesting, considering how when you talk about YouTube consumption, it's a 50-50 split, like men and women equally are consuming content. And so to find out additionally that influencers are paid less, women YouTubers are paid less on the platform than others, was really surprising to me. So I love to dive in. So, and I'll start with Tiffany, because I know you've got lots of thoughts on this. Tiffany, why do you think it is that women are paid less in this influencer and YouTuber space?
I mean, I feel like it kind of goes with anywhere. Women are just seem to be paid less. And, this could be just a cultural thing, a societal thing. And, one of the biggest things is for women, we tend to downplay ourselves. Sometimes we don't ask for extra. We don't ask for more because we don't want to come across as greedy or, selfish, or, people will say, oh, you're only in it for the money. And, that's a big thing. But if you look at men, they have no problem asking for what they feel they're worth, even if it seems like an outrageous number. So that's just something when it comes to just empowering women. And I think it's so funny because what people don't realize is, there is a lack of transparency of how we get paid and, what brands are looking for. And if you actually look at statistics, it is women, specifically like stay-at-home moms between like 25 to 34, are the biggest when it comes to spending. So brands will pay more to get ads in front of women because we spend more. If it's where the household, we spend, groceries, whatever it is, but then we also don't ask because those ads are being put in front of our stuff. So it's a crazy thing. And again, it comes from lack of transparency between how we get paid and then just us not like asking for the payment.
What do you think about this, Natalie? I know that you do a great work with sponsors and stuff. How have you been able to make sure that you're getting paid what you're worth, especially in competition with your peers?
Honestly, I think it's about education. And I have to echo what Tiffany is saying. I think that there's a lot of ambiguity about like how much you should be asking, what you're actually worth. And so sometimes it's kind of a guessing game. And I think a lot of times, at least in my experience and in my sphere, a lot of women start this kind of as a hobby, and they're just grateful to make a little extra, spending money, and don't really initially go into it approaching it as a business. And I think that if you can actually change your mindset a little bit and focus on it as a business, then it will kind of change how you approach things. And your time is valuable, and the amount of time that goes into it is so much more than I think a lot of the viewers realize, how much work goes into an episode, that you do deserve to get paid. And I have to echo with Tiffany. I mean, a lot of times it's a kind of a guessing game. I've tried to help other women in my sphere realize the value of what they're doing, and so that they will ask more, because Tiffany is also right. We have the potential. We are like driving a huge buying power. And so there is value in that. There's value in that to companies. And I think you just have to get brave and stand your ground, say no sometimes. And yeah, I think it will just take a little education and realizing, you know, that this is not a hobby, this is a business, and your time is valuable.
Yes, I think that is so very true. What do you think about this, Samara, as a female YouTuber, especially because you do a lot with travel and you're also single and without kids and stuff. So you deal with a lot of like other female related limitations like around travel and scarcity and things like that that people project onto you or that maybe you have experienced yourself. How do you manage all of that?
Well, I think specifically when we're talking about asking for money and like making sure that you step up and you recognize your what you should be asking, the big piece is that we're talking to each other, right? That like people who are in this field are having those dialogues and being less competitive. And I think that's part of what drives the problem actually, is that people will go, well, yeah, maybe I'll take less money for this so that I can have this accreditation, when what they should be maybe doing is waiting until that's a better fit, or they can ask for more, or they know how to position themselves to do so. So getting creative has been really, really critical for me, but also really starting to talk to the people and build personal relationships with the people, the other women in my communities, but also the other people who I see that are having good brand deals, that are having possibilities come out of things and strong sponsorships, and asking them, because I believe, and most of the time, people are pretty interested in trying to make sure that we are together in this so we can continue to move this forward as a place where we all make good money.
Yes. And I think that that's important to be said. I love what everyone has said. We need to educate, we need to communicate, and we need to know our worth. And I think that that can be said for really any creator. And it doesn't matter, I think, the size that you are as a creator. A YouTube creator of any size should be getting paid for their time. Because here's the thing that is so different to what we're doing here on YouTube versus like what happens in like a social media post. And that's what we're doing has longevity. Like you can sponsor one of my YouTube videos and it's going to keep working for months and months, if not, over a year or two. Like that is some really long advertising versus when you work with like an Instagram or Facebook or TikTok user or user or influencer, you're going to be faced with like, that's got maybe, if I'm lucky, a 48-hour shelf life. So that doesn't last very long. Working with YouTube creators gives you so much more bang for your buck. Like you get so much more out of it. Plus you get such great visuals and you get someone talking about your product and using it and showing it. Like there's just such better marketing opportunities in here. Why you wouldn't pay for that super like blows my mind. Especially because when I run into like the people who want to do stuff with me, that's always about products and stuff. And they're always like, well, we can't pay you for this review you want to do, but we'll give you an affiliate. Like they have to like I have to prove to them that my audience knows what they're doing and stuff. Like, look, you all came to me. You're the ones that came to me wanting to have access to my audience, which is not just a YouTube audience, but a social audience and an email list. Like there has to be something goes into it. So how do you think we as YouTube educators can educate brands about why they should be paying us to create content? Any ideas on that, Tiffany?
Yeah, so it does suck because, something I always say to smaller YouTubers is definitely use the resources that's available. I took way too many product for post in kind, like gifted sponsorships, because they make you feel so special when you're first starting out. And it's like, oh, this brand like recognized me. And then what's funny is when I actually started my second account, I have a different email address for that. And I realized it's a blast and I get 2 now. And I'm like, oh, okay, you just tell everybody this. So it very much is, I collect data. I am a huge data person, huge analytics. And, it comes down to, if I have affiliate marketing through like Amazon affiliate or something, I collect that data to show, like, even if this isn't sponsored, hey, I, shared this in this recent video and here's my conversion and here's my clicks and here's the sales and this is what I can do for you. And this is why I deserve, XYZ amount of payment. So definitely educating them on showing that value of, why this goes into it. be professional. I have contracts for every brand I work with. So if they don't send me a contract, I'm sending it to them. Like, I think Natalie mentioned it's a business, and a part of business is you need invoicing, you need contracts, you need, stats and data. So showing them and presenting that to them to say, I'm not just another influencer. Like, this is a business for me. This is where social media marketing for them. They'll think twice and be like, okay, we can't mess with her. We have to pay her what she's worth, or let's negotiate some type of payment there. So, just collect the data and present it in the best form you can.
Can I just jump in and say, I agree, and they will pay. If you hold out, they will pay. The right companies will, because they know that there's value there. And I think that we're just treat it like a business.
I think that if you undervalue what you have to offer, that's what's going to reflect in your product. Like, in order for you to do anything, you got to make money. Like, there's just no way around it. We all get into YouTube, I think, for one reason. It usually has something to do with the fact that you just like creating content. And so I think what we really got to make sure that we're doing while we're creating all of this content is remember, it's gotta be a reason I keep doing this. And usually that's where the money plays in. And the right brands will pay you what you're worth. If you accept nothing from smaller brands, that doesn't leave you open to working with other brands that could be giving you more money. It's kind of the law of attraction. Like, hold out for the person and the brand that deserves your time, that's going to care about your audience, understand that you're worth investing in.
Desiree, you mentioned right there something that really resonates with me, which is the idea that not only are you holding out for those brands, but that you can create those opportunities for yourself. That's something I keep thinking about. So a lot of times, instead of waiting for people to contact you, smaller creators can get started with this by reaching out to people. And what brand deals and collaborations and those things look like can be a business that's nearby, a place that you go a lot, reaching out to agencies. There are people who represent marketing of all sorts. Those of us who do industry work know, and they're waiting for people and hoping that they'll find people who reach out to them with creative ideas. And that's something that also is part of this. You can build reputations for yourself. You don't have to wait for the dollar values to be right that are offered to you. You can ask for them. And liking making content doesn't have to mean you don't get paid, right? Like, there's not a trade-off there. And I feel like sometimes people feel like there has to be, but I really love making content, so maybe I shouldn't get paid for it. That's not true. You can like being an accountant and still get paid for being an accountant. So influencers have to think that way. People who create content have to think that way too.
I think that is all very well said. And I hope that a lot of you have walked away with some really great ideas. I think that it's really important to remember, don't make sure it's worth your time to get paid. At the very least, do something with affiliate marketing if you think that you can get paid from it long-term or whatever, but know your worth. Have the data, have a media kit of what you have to offer and what you can offer to them for working with you, not just to prove your worth, but to show them that look, this is who I am, and this is why I need to get paid for my time, because you're paying for my time to create great content, and you're also paying for my audience that I have spent time building. And 3, remember that you guys are worth waiting for the right customer to do things for, so you get to decide what you spend your time on and what you do or don't get paid for. So really great points. I want to spend some time giving some love to our chat. We have some awesome people in here. The Everyday Wife Life, thank you for being here. Cofish Gaming, thank you for being here. At Home with Cherie, thank you so much for all of your great comments and for what you have to say in our chat. We've also had a really good time with Nutella Chan. We have Brenna Crafty on the horn. We've got Savage Pepper. Again, Paul Peck, thank you so much. Just Vlogging Life. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here and for supporting our chat today. If you have any questions for our panel of super diverse, awesome YouTube ladies, please put them in the chat. We will try to get to them as well. Now, one of the questions that and before I get into our next question, I want to make sure that for those of you, as we reset our live stream here, remember, you can win a free vidIQ Boost subscription by leaving a review over on Apple or Google Podcasts. All you have to do, we have a link in our chat on the YouTube link where you can just click to go leave a review, and then of course just shoot me a DM over at Mrs. Desiree Rose so that I can follow with you and give you that free Boost subscription. Again, thank you so much. And remember, Women of YouTube podcast, we are here celebrating the 100th episode of this 2-year podcast adventure where we are the Women of YouTube podcast, where we are sharing the stories of women YouTube creators to inspire women to start and keep creating. And I have 3 of our guests who have had their own episodes here on the podcast with me today, with Natalie, Tiffany Day, and Amara. All right. So one of the things I find really interesting is when it comes to like consumption and trends. I, for the life of me, have no idea why, if we have a 50-50 female to male ratio for video consumption, why is it that only 11.8% of women can be found in the top 25 of trending? What do you think that is about? Why do you think it is about certain content that just gets consumed so much more than others? Any ideas, Amara?
Why it's one kind of content versus the other that ends up there? I mean, we all know there's a bit of a mystery into a lot of those pieces, but I often think about what people are choosing to watch, and being a conscious viewer myself as a big part of it. So a lot like how people talk about, say, like Twitter, and how their Twitter feeds are often full of things that they don't love. Well, I often wonder, are you looking at things that you don't love? Are you promoting the content that isn't, doing as well? So I often think about what actions there are. I'm not entirely sure why, but I definitely think about what there is that I can do to help change that internally. And that means engaging with positive content, engaging with more female content, and liking up the videos that are the kinds of videos you want to see more of on the platform, that are doing the kind of work that you believe in, not necessarily that which is most easy to consume or most shocking to consume, right? Things that have more value. That's just the story of a better long-term internet, I think, on all platforms. So
what do you think, Tiffany?
Honestly, I don't know because I see so many creators and I'm like, why don't you have like more viewers? Why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? And I think, kind of what Mara says, it comes down to what are you watching and just being conscious of what you're watching. And, the YouTube algorithm picks up on user behavior. It's a very smart system. And if you go down a rabbit hole and it's, constantly men, basketball, you're not going to be shown any women. That's just what it is. Even if it's women's basketball, it's just because of your behavior on and off of YouTube. That's just kind of how it goes. So I feel women are just as funny as men. There are so many comedians. There's so many mom YouTuber comedians that I watch all the time that, I absolutely love. But it's just, are you going out of your way to look for that? Or are you staying in your echo chamber type of thing? So, just showing up more, women just showing up more, I think is going to help it. And I don't know if the trending page is hand selected. I heard it is, or if it's algorithm based. But, if it is hand selected, definitely looking outside of the typical, like you said, the beauty influencers or, the fitness influencers or the lady departments that we're supposed to be in. And, look at the other YouTubers in the male dominated spaces because they're amazing there.
Yeah. Actually, what's really interesting is At Home with Cherie says in our comments, it is what is watched and what is promoted through SEO tags and etc. I think it might be that men are utilizing strategies that are a bit more technical that help feed the algorithms. Maybe. I am not 100% sure if that's it. Like, we have all of the same opportunities presented to us. I think sometimes this comes down to women are really diverse in like what we consume. And I think that a lot of the things that tend to trend, I think, target a younger demo. And I think that younger demo, even men and women, will watch that content. Just so happens to be produced by men as well. I think that we just, as women, in order for us to get on those trends and to be a part of them, is to just create content people want to watch in mass. And it's not, like I said, it's 11%. So, I mean, it's not like women aren't there, But I feel like we could, and I'm not, and there's also a percentage of those that were brands, like, like when the Black Widow trailer comes out or something like that, like those things get calculated into trends. It's not that like 11% is women and 89% is men. That's not what it is. But I think that it's just those things that they just have that ability. I wonder in myself when it comes to creating content as a woman, I'm also a mom and I'm also a wife. And I wonder if there's something about that as I'm trying to grow and do what I'm doing. Like, is there something in that is stopping or limiting or making it harder for me to create content that could end up on a trending tab or something like that? Like, I do know there's family channels that get on there. And I do know that there are female channels that get on those trends. But I don't think I've ever seen, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist, I've never seen like a mom individual in a top 25 trending position. So I don't know. What do you guys think about all that?
I almost wonder if it's not like a simple numbers game. I mean, there's clearly more men having YouTube channels and less women. And so I wonder if it's just the fact that the sheer number. I mean, we are kind of a smaller section of YouTube. I think it's growing, but I almost think it's just who's making the content, and maybe it's just a numbers game. I don't know.
Maybe some of the answer is collaborating. I often like having more collaborations with when people are doing well, when those creators are doing well and ending up there, doing more collaborations with women and creating the possibility. It's that whole lift each other up thing that can also happen, in terms of our male identifying colleagues deciding to put more of us like into spaces where we're visible. So maybe that's part of what could be helpful to changing that game and making that part of the discussion of making women creators more visible on the platform.
100%. I also think that there's something to be said for, I still think that we have a ways to go culturally, even in and I'm speaking very specific to the United States. We still have a ways to go, I think, culturally with equality amongst the sexes. Because women still across the board make less money than men do in most fields. And unfortunately, if you go look at the chat for this live stream, there's been a lot of deleted messages, a lot of inappropriate comments. And I think that is to be said. Like, there's obviously a stigma. Like, we're like, why is this even here, vidIQ? What does the state of women on YouTube have to do with anything? When it's like, has to do with everything. Like, this is a part of YouTube just as much as anything anybody else is doing. And like I said, this is why this podcast, I think, needs to exist, is to help break down barriers and to pave a path and to educate people about these things, because the things that we care about as women sometimes is different than the things that men care about. And that's okay. We just need to have a place to talk about it so that we can get our questions answered and we can build our own communities. I don't think everything is for everyone, but I do, however, think that every community deserves a voice and a place to come together, that they can feel safe, respected, and get any help, assistance, praise, love, and adoration that they might need. So it's just my little soapbox there for a moment.
To add to that too, I actually have the chat going and, eye rolls over here, but any women or, any female that is in the chat right now who is looking at that, do not let that discourage you. You are going to get it no matter what. I feel like we're constantly having to prove ourselves more than our male counterparts. And it's just something where, you do have to have really thick skin to come onto YouTube. And it's so sad that we even have to say that, but do not let their opinions stop you from doing something that you absolutely love. They're behind a keyboard. They're probably not doing anything right now. And just remember that you're doing something, you're showing up, and, you're living your dreams. And I think that is amazing. And you shouldn't stop because one person disliked a video or one person left a negative comment.
Yeah, for every one negative, you'll have 100 positive. And we always need to focus on the positive. Women, we tend to be so critical of ourselves, and we're so hard on ourselves for like ridiculous reasons. And it's just, we need to give ourselves a lot more grace and a lot more praise for the awesome people we are who are doing something really amazing. Like, when you think about it, like, as a YouTube creator, like, you might think it's really oversaturated, but while there might be like 100 competitors in your industry or niche, I bet you anything, there's like 10,000 people not on YouTube that wish that they were, and that you are so far ahead of them right now. So like, I think that's so much more important perspective for you to have, whether you're a man or a woman, like whatever you create, like that is just the truth. So we got this, everyone. And ladies, I'm so proud of you for being here today and for being a part of this community. We've had some really great comments. Again, Sweetie Cat's World is here saying thank you to Tiffany for her comments. Cryptic Jasmine also saying thank you to Tiffany for what she's doing. Viper, our new team member, one of our new team members at vidIQ, is saying you ladies keep doing your thing. Definitely. If only we could do it. Well, we need cool like Viper sunglasses, I think, though, to like match his aura for sure. Koi Fish Gaming says it's really bad that things like this are needed. The value proposition should mean everything. I don't disagree with you, but until we have equality everywhere, we will have to create these subcategories, these niche podcasts, these niche communities to help support each other. Like what Explore World says, building a community is really important for us women. Women innately need people. Like we need people. We need to support each other. We need to commune and chat and problem solve and discuss. And that is so important for us for being here today. So it's going to be good. I'm excited about where we're at. So to do a little reset of our room here today, welcome to the Women of YouTube podcast, vidIQ Takeover, where we at the podcast tell the stories of women YouTube creators to inspire other women to start and keep creating here on this place we call the YouTubes. I am joined by Natalie, Tiffany, and Amar, who are previous guests on the podcast, and we are all here today to celebrate 100 episodes of the Women of YouTube podcast. Wanted to come together and talk about the last 2 years, what YouTube has looked like, give advice, and talk about some things that we still have a long way to go with as YouTube creators. Now, you can win a free vidIQ Boost subscription by leaving a review of the Women of YouTube podcast over on Google or on Apple. I have the link pinned up in our comments section of the podcast so that you can just click the link and go leave a review. I would be greatly appreciated for you. And I'm going to show my gratitude with that free Boost subscription for you. Okay. Now, we got a question a little while back, I think that works really well for our podcast. So I'm just going to say it because I copied it. It said, I would love to know if the ladies on the panel have a favorite social media platform that they think helps best boost their YouTube content. So I will start with Natalie. Is there another social network besides YouTube that you find you get a lot of engagement and community, that it's an extension of your killer YouTube channel?
Thank you. Yeah, I think that right now my attention is recently turned to Facebook and growing my audience there, just because I feel like that will most closely align with what I'm doing. I know a lot of my people in my niche focus on Instagram, and I think that that's great. But for me right now, Facebook is a good traffic source, and the area that I'm going to start focusing my attention. I think that there's a lot of growth potential there and a lot of opportunity on Facebook. So that's my secondary social media outlet right now that I'm focusing on.
Love it. I think I know Tiffany's. Tiffany's has all been that Reels lately.
I did join the short form content. It's not working for me as well as other people, but it is really fun to just kind of create. But yeah, Instagram is definitely my secondary, just because I feel like YouTube doesn't allow as many areas for you to connect with your audience. You know, you have to wait until, although in October, 500 subscribers to unlock the community tab. You know, you have the stories, but that's, 10,000 subscribers. So there's so many limits, but on Instagram, like you have stories and you have comments and you have DMs, like you have so many ways to connect. But I'm also a huge SEO person. So if you're looking to boost SEO, Pinterest is where you can drive a lot of traffic to your YouTube channel. So Pinterest to drive traffic, and then Instagram to engage with my existing audience.
Love it. Mara, do you have a favorite?
Oh, it's like picking children.
Okay, hold on a second.
I know.
We all have a favorite child from day to day. Let me tell you that.
Okay, well, I don't have children, so this is as close as I'm probably gonna get. Maybe the cat. But honestly, I love engaging on Instagram and Twitter in terms of, and I use them in different ways. I think Twitter is a really great resource for looking for collaboration opportunities, and I think that's something that a lot of creators maybe don't necessarily create for themselves. And I think that's something really beautiful that can exist there. And talk about a good place to find other women on the platform. Like any of these social media networks will be a place where really driven women are going to be posting about their content or sharing what they're doing. And you can always just reach out to them. And I think that there's magic there that people sometimes miss out on by just not trying or not giving it a whirl. It's not always going to work, but sometimes it does.
YouTube, I think, is filled with amazing people that just want to connect with other amazing people. We have actually a Facebook group for Women of YouTube, Women of YouTube Official. If you want to go look for it on Facebook, and any of you women who are listening can join. We're always sharing new episodes, information. You can ask questions, post things that you're trying to figure out. We have so many great resources and people in there to help you along the way. And that's what I love about it. It's like, I can't think of a single YouTube person I've ever gone to and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? Or I have this idea, or I'm having this problem. And they just give me the information. They're like, oh, that sucks. Oh, I have dealt with that. Oh, this is so cool. Or no, you should probably change this. Like, they're just so giving with their time and their knowledge and their ideas. And they're just so willing to help you. And like, even on this YouTube channel with vidIQ, like vidIQ does channel reviews every week and a live Q&A. Like, how, like, just, I said, it's a great community to get so much help with whatever you're working with. And what's so great about YouTubers is that we will help you not only like, how do you make better content? What the heck do I do with this SEO drama? Why am I not getting views? We'll analyze the crap out of your thumbnails. We'll give you ideas for how you can make money. We'll connect you to people that we think would help you make money. Like, we're here to help. So we're here for this. So I think that YouTube is a great place to make friends and do lots of great things together, for sure. So just saying, it had to be said too.
You know, Desiree, the friendship thing is an important part that we haven't really talked about either.
Oh, yeah.
For years, I looked for the kinds of women that I was like looking for to have in my like group, right? To have as my like close friend circle. And I tell everyone I started making content and I found the other women in various niches with various interest points in creating. And you don't have to be on the same page in terms of your niche or what you're doing to talk to each other about the adventure that is YouTube creation, right? Because no matter what, no matter whether you're a person who's selling an item or you're, you know, selling your business, or you're a person who creates content just for yourself, the process of making YouTube videos is a commonality between all YouTube creators. So definitely that has been life-changing for me on a lot of levels. So
yeah, and all of us know each other because we're YouTube creators. In fact, we were just talking about before we went live, like, we're all going to go to Vid Summit, and like, and they're like, we finally get to meet each other in person. It's fun. Like it's like, it's going to be, I keep telling, it's going to be like going to camp. Like, it's going to be, yeah, we're going to be hugging and socially distancing minimally probably, but we're going to do it. We're going to have fun. I'm just like so excited about it. I'm like, people. My extroverted heart very much needs this. Okay, so Dr. Ninja Art wants to know, how do we create our YouTube channel and content? Like what is it? I think that he wants to know is like, what led us to our topics and how do we come up with what we make? So for me, I can talk. So my YouTube channel is all in one social media. If you're in the chat, that is who I am commenting. My YouTube channel is all about creating content that helps you grow your business with better social media and content marketing. And I started my YouTube channel because I run a social media agency that puts military spouses to work. And my husband, who was in the military, we had gotten stationed in South Korea, and I needed a way to generate leads for my business. So I found YouTube. And YouTube allows for me to create organic leads to my business while proving my expertise in the industry. And so I come up with my content based on the needs of the pulse of social media in general. And I recently did a big rebrand, rechange over from Mrs. Desiree Rose to All in One Social Media so that I could work with other creators who were experts in what I didn't know so that I could give more value to my audience. Like that's how I come up with, like, that's why my YouTube channel exists. And that's how I come up with my content. What about you, Natalie?
Well, it's interesting. I just am making content of things that I was already doing. I love to renovate homes. We typically move into a home and then I renovate it and I decided that needed to be on YouTube. My background is in interior design and real estate, but my educational background is broadcast journalism and public relations. And so I decided to kind of marry everything together and do YouTube, which combines all of my passion and all of my educational background. And I create content that I think will be beneficial and help others to like learn new skills and to kind of get outside of themselves, get brave, do things that they never thought possible. I built a fireplace. I'd never done that before. I documented on it. And then I even surprised myself. So these are things that I'm just already doing and then hopefully helping others to be able to get brave and do themselves. And so I try to keep that in mind and just do what I love. When you do what you love, you're not really working.
All right, what about you, Tiffany? Because I know you have two. So why did you create your mom lifestyle one? And then how does it support your YouTube educator one?
Yeah, so I know I kind of mentioned this earlier, but something I didn't mention is one of the reasons I was terrified of going from career mom to stay-at-home mom is I actually struggled really bad with postpartum depression and anxiety. And it basically all those feelings came back when I didn't have a job to go to distract myself from that. So, I was looking for ways to make money online. I've been working since I was 17, being in business was just always a part of me. And it just kind of actually what led me to uploading my first YouTube video is I joined a blogging course and you had to post a video on YouTube as a challenge to try to win a laptop. And that's the reason I uploaded my first video. But I found a community of moms who are also struggling. And, I am very much about transparency is a part of just who I am. So when it came to motherhood, I wanted to show other moms who may be struggling with anxiety and depression, like you're not alone. And this is how I manage things. And, these are my systems and this is how I can help you. So it was really about helping new moms just navigate motherhood. And then, on the other side of that, there was a lot of moms who were getting into being YouTubers. And I wanted to help them on the other end, on the business end of, you can stay home with your children and not go back to work because that's something that's terrifying to moms. You have maternity leave. And then I had to go back to work when my daughter was 9 weeks old and it was devastating, So I just wanted to show a different side of things while, again, opening up that transparency to say, this is how we make money. This is how brands look for creators. This is how you rank and search. This is how you, land on browse, just kind of opening the doors to empower women altogether. So.
Absolutely fantastic. All right, what about you, Amara? What led you to the tubes and how do you know what to create?
Yeah, so I had always been interested. I had been interested in YouTube from the get-go and had just kind of not done it. And had a rather major life change and decided maybe this is the time to start publishing videos. And I had like this, what I thought at the time was a super impossible goal. I wanted within 5 years of making YouTube videos to somehow manage to get to the YouTube space in LA that existed. Rest in peace. But I wanted to get the opportunity to do that and then found myself very quickly there and just kind of kept following the adventure and eventually started using YouTube to push me to try to live life the way I dreamed of it being and to reach out to people and to do this, which eventually became a story of global community building that I am just nonstop all about.
That's so fun. Well, as we start to head near the end of our time together, I want to make sure to ask this very important question. And it's going to be how I usually end our podcast. Do you think that there is room on YouTube for new creators? What do you think, Amara? Do we have room? Are we at our limit?
Not just do I think there's room. I want the people who want to create to start doing so. We bring each other up. We help each other get better in the space that is women on YouTube. That is so super important. I remember one of the first events I ever went to, listening to Mamrie Hart and Emma Blackery talk about women picking women up and how that's super important to what this industry is and what it can be. So yeah, if you're interested, I love it. I often tell creators that are new, if they're thinking about it and they upload a video, assuming the content is, appropriate, I am more than willing to kind of reshare that out to the world, because we can just help each other. So yes, if you want to make content, give it a whirl. You can always stop. You can always decide it's not for you later. It's fine. But why not try?
Yeah, no, I think that is so well said. What do you think, Natalie? As someone who I think does a lot of crafting and DIY stuff, do you think that there's still more room for other crafty ladies out there?
Absolutely. I have to echo what Amara is saying. And I think that there's sometimes women contribute to the problem, and women are pretty nasty to women. And I would love to see more people straightening each other's tiaras, lifting each other up, and championing each other to succeed and do what they want to do. And so honestly, there's the more the merrier. Bring your voice. It's needed. And it's never too late to do something that you're passionate about, that you love, and that you can bring your own unique spin on. And so I say, come join us.
We have cake. No.
Make your own cake.
Really.
Tutorials.
If only there was. Could you imagine if everyone who joined YouTube got cake? Like, that would be cool.
Let them eat cake.
How about everyone who joins YouTube will get a tutorial on how they can make their own? All right, what do you think, Tiffany?
Yeah, I mean, there is new creators coming to the platform every single day, and you see them just absolutely explode and take off, and we always hear it's too saturated, my niche is too saturated, but that's just a limiting belief we tell ourselves. And, like I mentioned earlier, it's really down to what is missing in your niche and how can you fill that gap? And that's how you unsaturate your niche. What can you bring to the table that somebody else can't? And I love when you mentioned competitors earlier, you said competitors, because there really is no competitor. Like, we compete. I know for me personally, I compete with my own last video. I don't compete with someone in my niche's video. I don't care if they did the same one. We're completely different. How we say things is different. I present a lot of the videos on navigating YouTube that, vidIQ can do and everything else, but it's something that in my comments is I love how you explain things different than, YouTuber ABC. So even how you explain it, your editing, everything just makes you so unique. And when you find your people, like, that's all you need. So definitely room for everybody.
Yes. And I especially want to take this time to say there is room for everybody, and we need your content. We need your voice. We need your face. We need what you have to offer to the world, because to get cheesy and Dr. Seussy, you're the you-iest you that there is. Like, there's no one else in the world like you. I can tell it's my mom voice stepping in a little bit, but it's so true. Like, I want you to be here. You're going to find such fantastic success, and you're going to find some of the best friends and people you will ever find in your life here. So
true.
Don't wait. Pull out that phone, make the video, do the thing, and you'll figure it out along the way. I want to say a big thank you to everyone that was in our live chat today. I want to say a massive thank you to vidIQ for letting us do this takeover, and also for being a sponsor of this podcast. It is a wonderful, fabulous community to be a part of, and this tool will literally change how you use YouTube so that you can create better content that will perform better. We will be closing by the end of today, which is September 10th. You can have any time where you can go leave a review on Google or Apple Podcasts to enter to win a free vidIQ Boost subscription. Just leave that review and DM me at Mrs. Desiree Rose so they know that it got done. And then I'm going to end this the same way I end every live stream. Remember, you are impossibly amazing. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye.